Today we're talking about 3 motorcycles that almost nobody has on their radar. 3 bikes that pass completely unnoticed in the market, but hide something very few people know about. These are cheap motorcycles, models that most people ignore because they don't have the trendy design, because they don't appear in all the Instagram ads, or simply because people don't stop to see what they really offer. But when you look beyond the appearance, when you check fuel consumption, reliability, and real maintenance costs, you discover that some of these bikes leave many famous market models in the dust. In this video, we're going to uncover 3 hidden gems, 3 cheap motorcycles that everyone ignores, but could be exactly what you need if you're looking for something that will last you years without emptying your pockets. If you like discovering bikes with real value, instead of paying for pure marketing, subscribe to BikeNexus right now and hit that bell, because here we talk straight about motorcycles for everyday use and for people who actually ride them. Let's go with the first bike. The first motorcycle on the list is one that time literally forgot. A bike you've probably never even heard of, and if you have, you dismissed it immediately as too small, too simple, too boring. We're talking about the Suzuki TU250X. In a world obsessed with horsepower numbers, with electronics packages, with LED screens and ride modes, this bike is the complete opposite. It's old school in the best possible way. And that's precisely why almost nobody wants it, which makes it one of the best deals on the used market right now. The TU250X looks like it escaped from a 1970s time capsule. Classic styling, wire spoke wheels, a teardrop fuel tank, and an analog speedometer that doesn't apologize for what it is. It's a single-cylinder, 250 cubic centimeters air-cooled carbureted engine. Yes, you heard that right. Carbureted in 2026. No fuel injection, no computers, no sensors that break and cost a fortune to replace. Just a simple, bulletproof engine that's been refined over decades to be as reliable as gravity. This thing makes about 16 horsepower. That's not going to win any drag races, but here's what nobody tells you. This bike gets 76 miles per gallon. Let that sink in for a moment. 76 miles per gallon. While your buddies are stopping at gas stations every 120 miles on their sport bikes, you're cruising past 250 miles on a single tank. That's not just economical, that's practically free transportation. You could commute for an entire month on what some people spend on a single tank fill-up. The maintenance is laughably simple. There's no complicated electronics to diagnose, no expensive dealership-only software updates, no proprietary parts that cost more than your rent. Any mechanic with basic tools can work on this bike. Oil changes are cheap. The air-cooled engine means no coolant to flush, no radiator to worry about. The carburetor can be cleaned and adjusted by anyone with a YouTube tutorial and a Sunday afternoon. This is a bike you can actually own and maintain without needing a second mortgage. The riding position is upright and comfortable. You're not hunched over like on a sport bike, destroying your back and wrists. You're not leaning back like a cruiser, limiting your control. You're sitting in that perfect sweet spot where you can ride all day without pain, where you have excellent visibility, where you feel connected to the bike and the road. The seat is plush enough for long rides. The handlebars are positioned exactly where your hands naturally want to be. So, if this bike is so practical, so economical, so easy to maintain, why does nobody buy it? First, because it doesn't have the badge. It doesn't say Harley-Davidson or BMW or Triumph on the tank. It says Suzuki, and for some reason, people think that matters more than the actual machine. Second, because it's only 250 cubic centimeters, and in America, bigger is always better. Right? Wrong! This bike will do 75 miles per hour all day long. It's perfectly capable on highways for reasonable distances. It's more than enough for commuting, weekend rides, and exploring back roads. But people are so obsessed with having 100 horsepower that they'll never use that they completely overlook what they actually need. Third, because it looks old-fashioned. In a market where everyone wants the latest, flashiest, most modern-looking bike, the TU250X looks like it doesn't care about trends. And that's exactly why it's brilliant. While everyone else is paying premium prices for bikes that depreciate 30% the moment they leave the dealership, you can buy a used TU250X for dirt cheap because nobody wants it. Brand new, this bike retailed for around $4,600. That's already absurdly affordable for a brand new motorcycle. But here's where it gets interesting. On the used market, you can find TU250XS with low miles, in excellent condition, for $2,500 to $3,200. Some sellers are practically giving them away because they've been sitting unsold for months. Why? Because the market is irrational. The market wants what's cool, not what's smart. And that irrationality is your opportunity. If you're looking at a used TU250X, here's what to check. First, make sure the carburetor is clean and the bike starts easily, both cold and hot. A neglected carb can cause issues, but it's an easy fix. Second, check the valve clearances if the mileage is high. This is a simple maintenance item, but it's important. Third, look at the tires, chain, and brakes. These are wear items on any bike, but they're cheap to replace on the TU250X. If those things check out and the title is clean, you're looking at one of the most honest, reliable, economical motorcycles you can buy for the price of a used laptop. This is the bike for someone who wants to actually ride, not just pose in parking lots. This is the bike for someone who understands that the best motorcycle is the one you can afford to keep. On the road, not the one gathering dust in your garage because maintenance costs are killing you. The Suzuki TU250X doesn't care about your ego. It just wants to get you where you're going, mile after mile, year after year, without drama and without breaking your bank account. Let's move to the second bike on the list, and this one is even more baffling. We're talking about the Kawasaki Versys X 300. This is an adventure motorcycle that gives you about 80% of what a big-bore adventure bike offers, for literally 1/3 of the price. It's designed to do everything: city commuting, highway touring, light off-road exploring, weekend camping trips. It's the Swiss Army knife of motorcycles, and yet almost nobody talks about it, almost nobody considers it. Why? Because it doesn't have the prestige badge, and it's only 300 cubic centimeters. The Versys X 300 uses a 296 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled parallel twin engine that makes about 39 horsepower. Now, I can already hear the keyboard warriors typing angry comments. 39 horsepower? That's not enough for adventure riding. Wrong. Dead wrong. This bike will cruise comfortably at 70 to 75 miles per hour all day long. It will handle highway speeds without struggling. It has enough power for safe passing. It will carry luggage and a passenger if needed. And here's the kicker. It gets around 60 to 65 miles per gallon while doing it. Think about what that means for adventure riding. With the 4.5-gallon fuel tank, you have a realistic range of 250 to 280 miles between fill-ups. That's more range than most big adventure bikes. You can go deeper into remote areas without worrying about finding gas. You can plan longer routes without anxiety. And when you do fill up, it costs you about $15 instead of $25. Over a year of riding, that difference adds up to hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars back in your pocket. The Versys X 300 weighs only 401 pounds fully fueled. Compare that to a typical 800 cubic centimeters adventure bike that weighs 500 to 550 pounds. When you're riding off-road, when you're navigating tight trails, when you inevitably drop the bike because everyone drops adventure bikes, that weight difference is absolutely critical. A 400-pound bike you can pick up by yourself. A 550-pound bike requires help, a tow truck, or a chiropractor visit. This bike is light enough to be confidence-inspiring, but stable enough to handle wind and highway riding without feeling twitchy. The suspension travel is generous, 5.1 inches up front and 5.9 inches in the rear. That's enough to absorb potholes, speed bumps, gravel roads, and mild off-road trails without beating you to death. The upright seating position gives you excellent visibility and all-day comfort. The windscreen is adjustable and actually works, protecting you from wind fatigue on long highway stretches. The luggage rack is beefy and ready to accept panniers or a top case. This is a real adventure bike, not a pretender. Kawasaki equipped this bike with ABS as standard, which is a massive safety feature that many budget bikes skip. The assist and slipper clutch makes gear changes smooth and prevents rear-wheel lockup during aggressive downshifts. The analog/digital display gives you all the information you need without overwhelming you with menus and settings. Everything about this bike is functional, practical, and well thought out. So why is this bike so undervalued? First, because adventure bike culture is dominated by big bikes. Everyone wants to ride what they see on Long Way Round. Everyone wants a 1,200 cubic centimeter monster, even if they're never going further than the local Starbucks. The Versys X300 doesn't feed that ego. It's too small, too sensible, too honest about what it is. Second, because Kawasaki doesn't market it aggressively. They focus their advertising budget on the Ninja and Z models. The Versys X gets ignored, so consumers ignore it too. Third, because new riders are intimidated by adventure bikes in general, and experienced riders assume anything under 500 cubic centimeters is a toy. The result? Massive depreciation and incredible used market deals. Brand new, the Versys X 300 ABS had an MSRP of around $5,700. That's already a steal for what you get. But on the used market, these bikes are practically being given away. You can find low-mileage examples, often with luggage and accessories already installed, for $3,800 to $4,500. Some sellers are asking even less if they need to move the bike quickly. When shopping for a used Versys X 300, check for signs of drops or off-road damage. Look at the engine guards, foot pegs, and handlebars for scuff marks or bends. This doesn't necessarily mean the bike is bad. Adventure bikes get dropped, but it gives you negotiating leverage. Check the chain and sprockets for wear, as these are common maintenance items. Make sure the ABS system works properly by testing it in a safe environment. Verify that all the electronics, lights, turn signals, horn work correctly. If everything checks out, you're getting an adventure-ready motorcycle for used Grom money. That's insane value. This is the bike that lets you actually go on adventures instead of just dreaming about them. This is the bike that will take you across state lines, down Forest Service roads, to remote camping spots, and back home without complaining. It's light enough to handle, powerful enough to be capable, economical enough to use every day, and cheap enough that you won't cry if you scratch the paint. The Kawasaki Versys X 300 is what smart adventure riders buy when they care more about miles covered than Instagram likes. And now we arrive at the third bike. And this one might be the most controversial pick on this list, because it's not unknown, it's not forgotten. It's just massively, criminally undervalued by a market that has completely lost its mind. We're talking about the Suzuki SV650. This bike has been around for over 20 years. It's been the answer to what bike should I buy for 2 decades, and yet people keep overlooking it in favor of more expensive, less capable, less reliable options. It makes no sense. The SV650 is powered by a 645 cubic centimeters V-twin engine that produces about 76 horsepower and 47 pound-feet of torque. This is a real motorcycle. This is not a beginner bike you'll outgrow in 6 months. This is a bike that will satisfy new riders and still be fun for experienced riders 10 years later. The V-twin configuration gives it a unique character. It's not a screaming inline-4 that only comes alive at 10,000 RPM. It's not a thumping single that vibrates your teeth loose. It's smooth, flexible, torquey from low revs, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. This engine makes power everywhere. You can lug it around town at 3,000 RPM in high gear without complaint. You can twist the throttle at 6,000 RPM and feel a strong linear surge of acceleration. You can ring it out to redline and enjoy the howl of the V-twin at full song. It's an engine that adapts to your mood and your riding style. Commuting in traffic? It's docile and manageable, carving canyon roads. It's thrilling and responsive. This versatility is rare and valuable. Fuel economy is excellent for a 650 cubic centimeter bike. You'll see 45 to 55 miles per gallon depending on how you ride. Even if you're aggressive with the throttle, you're still getting mileage that rivals many smaller bikes. The tank holds 3.8 gallons, giving you a realistic range of 170 to 200 miles. That's perfect for day trips and weekend rides without constant fuel stops. The chassis is a work of art. The steel trellis frame is light, strong, and gives the bike neutral, predictable handling. It's not skittish like some lightweight bikes. It's not heavy and sluggish like some bigger bikes. It's right in the sweet spot, where the bike goes exactly where you look, where it inspires confidence in corners, where it feels planted and stable at speed. The suspension is firm enough for spirited riding, but compliant enough for daily comfort. The brakes are strong and progressive. Everything works together in harmony. The riding position is comfortable and versatile. It's upright enough for all-day rides without back pain. It's sporty enough to feel engaging when you're pushing hard. The seat is decent, the handlebars are well positioned, the foot pegs are in a natural location. You can ride this bike for hours without needing to stop and stretch. You can also take it to a track day and have an absolute blast. How many bikes offer that combination? The SV650 is bulletproof reliable. Suzuki has been building this engine for over 20 years. They've worked out every possible bug. Oil changes every 3,500 to 4,000 miles. Valve checks every 15,000 miles. And basic maintenance is all you need. No expensive Desmo valve services. No complicated electronics that fail and cost thousands to fix. No proprietary parts that take weeks to order. This is a bike you can own and ride hard without fear. So if the SV650 is so good, why is it so cheap on the used market? Because people are stupid. I'm sorry, but it's true. The motorcycle market is driven by ego, by brand loyalty, by the need to own something special. The SV650 doesn't feed any of those needs. It doesn't say Ducati on the tank. It doesn't have an exotic L-twin motor. It doesn't have a six-figure racing pedigree. It's just a Suzuki, and somehow that matters more to people than the actual quality of the motorcycle. Brand new, an SV650 costs around $7,300. That's already competitive with bikes that can't match its capability. But on the used market, the depreciation is staggering. You can find SV650s from the last 5 years, with low miles, in excellent condition, for $4,500 to $6,000. Some are even cheaper. These are bikes that have barely been broken in, that have decades of life left, being sold for pocket change because the owner wants something with a prettier badge. When shopping for a used SV650, you're spoiled for choice, because there are so many on the market. Look for one with service records. The SV650 is reliable, but it still needs maintenance. Check the chain and sprockets, as these are consumables. Test ride the bike, and make sure the transmission shifts smoothly. Listen for any unusual engine noises, though honestly, these engines rarely have issues. Check the fairings and bodywork for signs of drops. But remember that cosmetic damage doesn't affect performance and gives you negotiating room. The SV650 is the bike that proves you don't need to spend $15,000 to have fun on two wheels. It's the bike that experienced riders keep coming back to after trying more expensive options. It's the bike that wins track day shootouts against bikes twice its price. It's the bike that will still be running strong when modern electronics-laden motorcycles are in the junkyard with unfixable computer problems. So there you have it. 3 bikes that the market ignores, that almost nobody considers, but that offer incredible value if you're smart enough to see past the marketing and the badge snobbery. The Suzuki TU250X for ultimate simplicity and economy. The Kawasaki Versys X300 for affordable adventure capability. And the Suzuki SV650 for pure, undiluted motorcycling joy at a bargain price. If you know of any other cheap bikes that are hidden gems, drop them in the comments, because I'm sure there are more people here